Hey everybody, it's Matt Toronto with Mini Grad School of Acting, and today we're going to talk about 5 secrets to Oscar-worthy performances. And so I think we're just going to dive right in. The number one most important thing in a really compelling performance is action. Okay? At the beginning of a take on set, the director calls action. They don't say emote, they say action. They want a sense of doing in everything that you do. In your performance, you need a sense of doing. Okay? If you look up the verb to act in the dictionary, it says to do. That's the simplest definition. Okay? And so acting is not about emoting, it's not about pretending, it's about doing. It's about finding the reality of doing. And that's why a lot of your acting teachers will talk to you about objectives, needs, goals, essential actions, things that your character is trying to do, that you're trying to get, that you're trying to accomplish in the midst of the scene. And if you can connect to those authentically, then suddenly you're going to start to create performances that are compelling and human and very spontaneous and unpredictable. One of the secrets to this is to be able to find an objective, a way of thinking about what does my character want or need in this scene, and how do I think about it in order to connect me powerfully to the doing in the scene. And the words that you use suddenly become tools for accomplishing your goal. And when you do that, they take on subtext, they take on richness, they take on humanity. And your unique humanity gets channeled through the words and through the doing of the scene. One other thing that I think helps a lot is to think of to divide your scene into verbs, beats that are described by verbs. Not what am I going to feel? Oh, I want to be angry in this moment. Not about that, but about, okay, if I want to capture that anger, what is my character doing? Perhaps I'm scolding a character or berating a character or threatening a character. Do you see how those verbs suddenly activate you in a new way, and it activates your imagination, in fact, it activates your body, so that as you use the words, or sometimes you have no words, as you use the moment, it suddenly becomes activated by doing, and that's really important. The second secret is to work off of the other. Okay, a lot of times you have actors that fall into a trap of, okay, I am planning to say my line in this way, in this manner, and they have line readings that become predictable, that become stale, that become old. Instead, if you work off of your scene partner and you really connect to if you focus on what they're doing, what kind of behavior they are sending you, and react authentically to that in the moment, suddenly you're going to have performances that are not expected. Have you ever had an argument with a loved one where you're yelling and screaming and crying at each other, and all of a sudden somebody says something and you both begin to laugh? And it makes no sense because you're in the middle of a fight, and yet somehow a human being laughs in that moment. And wouldn't that be wonderful to capture a moment like that on screen? Well, if you're focused on the other rather than on yourself, then suddenly you'll start to have those kind of moments come out of your unique apparatus, your emotional apparatus that is a part of who you are. And that's what we want. We want, yes, we want to capture the character of, Juliet or Romeo or, Hamlet, but we want to capture that through your unique lens. And that's something that only you can do. And that's a really powerful thing. So that means that even when you know the lines, you're still improvising with your scene partner based on whatever behavior they're sending you at that moment. The next thing is to personalize the circumstances. Okay? None of this means anything. None of the scene work that you're doing means anything if it doesn't move you personally. If you're being moved personally, it will move, theoretically, the audience. Okay? That means you have to find a way to connect personally to the circumstances, to what you're doing, to your scene partner. Okay? And there are lots of ways to do this. Some people do, emotional recall, and there are a lot of different ways to do it. My preference is to use your imagination. It's one of the most human and powerful things that we have, something that sets us apart from any other animal in the world. And that is we can imagine things, okay? So you need to use your imagination to connect yourself personally to what's at stake in the scene, okay? Yes, maybe you never have been interrogated by the Gestapo, but you're in that scene anyways, and you have to personalize that. So find a way to do that. Perhaps it's a little bit like being interrogated by your parents when you were out late and didn't know, didn't come home on time, or something to that effect. But it's about using your imagination and finding a way in that connects you personally to the doing, to the action, and to the scene partner. well, doing and action are the same thing. The other thing that I think is really important as you craft your performance, in addition, these are just sort of bullet points, and I wish I could say, oh, these are little tricks that you can do and suddenly you'll be an Oscar-winning performer. That's not the way it works. These are guidelines, but it takes years of practice to master that. And we'll talk to that. I'm actually getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about that a little bit more. That's point 5. But point 4 is point of view. Understanding your character's point of view will affect how you perform it. It will affect your physicality. It will affect how you receive the information in the scene. So, for example, if the director says to you, I think your character is very paranoid in this scene, can you be more paranoid? Well, you can sit there and try to pretend to be paranoid, but suddenly that's going to be a forced and kind of inauthentic performance, because nobody in life thinks of themselves as paranoid. No, a paranoid person, what is their point of view? They think, everybody's out to get me. You're out to get me, right? And suddenly it's a subtler performance, and suddenly it's a performance that's more unexpected, more compelling, and generated from the point of view of a human rather than an external point of view that's trying to be forced on a performance. That's a really important thing to do. So think about, what is your character's point of view on the world, on the most important characters in the scene or in the story, on their clothing, on the prop that they're handling. What is your point of view? And suddenly it will give you a specific relationship that will be authentic and, yes, specific. Specificity is really important, okay? Stanislavski said that generality is the enemy to all art. So we want to find specific choices that will be compelling. The last thing, the last key is training. Train, train, train. Become better every day. You want to be at the Olympic level of acting. And unless you are, you're not going to be able to perform at the highest level. There's no Olympian in the world worth their salt that doesn't have a coach, have a team, have a training regimen, have people helping them become better. And that means you're going to have to invest your time, your energy, and your finances to train and become better and better every day. And those are the keys to becoming an actor to be reckoned with. And that's what you want to be, isn't it? You want to be an artist who can compel other people with their performance. And that requires study, that requires knowledge, and that requires, well, at least 5 of these secrets that I shared with you today. If you're interested in a little bit more help to get yourself to that place where you're really performing at the top level, feel free to reach out to me. I do offer classes as well. The other thing, if you're in the LA area, I also offer one-on-one coaching through Skype and other avenues. The other thing is, if you're interested, I can give you, click on the link below and message me, and I will send you a PDF of some really fantastic, a list of objectives, things that you can, objectives that you can think of, some really compelling objectives that might help you in your next scene, that will help you really connect so that you know what your character is doing. For example, instead of, oh, I'm just trying to get a date. Well, that's a little different than convincing a girl to convincing the girl of your dreams to take a chance on you, right? Isn't that a little more compelling? And so if you can find the right ways the right point of view on your objectives, that can really electrify your performance. And I'll give you a list of some fantastic ones that you can use and modify and change, and maybe give you inspiration for other ideas as you're analyzing and working with your scenes. Anyways, that's all I got for today. I'm Matt Toronto from Mini Grad School of Acting, and, break a leg.